friends, welcome to Awdhesh Academy. Friends, today we are going to learn writing an essay which was asked in the Civil Services Examination 2018, that is the latest one. The topic of the essay was, "A good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge." So this is a very typical topic. This is not an usual topic because this was based on a famous quotation which was said by Bertrand Russell. He is a great philosopher, and because he is a great philosopher, naturally this particular quotation is having a deep meaning in it. Now, you don't have to know who has said this quotation, but you have to grasp this particular topic before you start writing the essay. There are three important terms in this particular topic: good life, inspired by love, and third is guided by knowledge. So when we are going to write the essay, we must keep these three topics in our mind. What is good life? How good life is inspired by love? How good life is guided by knowledge? So in order to generate different ideas, we must first brainstorm the question itself. Let us ask the question, what is the meaning of good life? Now, good life has multiple connotations. It may mean wealth, comfort, power, fame, recognition, service, helping the poor and needy, serving the nation, pleasure, happiness, and so many things. So ultimately, the good life means which makes us good, which by doing which we feel happy. That is what is basically the good life. But whether good life is a life in itself, in the sense that it depends upon what we have, or there's something else. For example, whether good life means pleasure without consciousness and without responsibility, or if we are creating good life because of hatred or selfishness or exploitation or indifference or insensitivity. So whether if we acquire the wealth by all these means, whether it is a good life. So these are the questions we should ask ourselves. The second important question is good life guided by love or something else? This is also a very, very important thing, because we can do a particular action because of our love or because we want something else. For example, when you are giving charity, it may be because of love, or it may be because you want to gain honor. When you are helping a person, you may be helping because of love or because you want something else. So what is the main guiding force behind it? So if love is guiding, the things become effortless, you do it naturally, and you enjoy the process itself. And so we must ask the question, what is love? How love guides a person in doing the right things like service, charity, help, social service, etc. Because if we do the same thing, for example, if we do the social service but there is no love in our heart, the same action may become painful to us, because we are trying to get something else by doing such action. But when we are doing the same thing because of love, then naturally you will enjoy the process. Then we have to ask the question, is good life is guided by knowledge or something else? Here we should know what is knowledge, and we should know the relationship between the cause and effect, action and consequence. Once you have the knowledge, you know that if you do something, what is going to be the consequence. In the same way, if something has happened, you will know why it has happened, and so you can go back to the cause, you can have the root cause analysis, and then you can avoid the cause if it is leading to undesirable outcome, and you can do more of that cause if it leads to positive outcome. So knowledge is essential to connect our action with the outcome. So difference between the true knowledge and false knowledge and ignorance we should know. So we should ask, what is true knowledge, what is false knowledge, and what is ignorance. And the people who are ignorant, they suffer long-term pain, but they may be getting short-term joy, because they don't know what is going to be the price they have to pay for having their joy in the present life. The ignorant people often suffer long-term pain, even though they may enjoy short-term joy, because they don't know what is going to be the consequence of doing the action which is bringing them joy in the present moment. So let us first understand what is good life. If you say that someone is living a good life, you mean that they are living in comfort and luxury with few problems or worries. So somebody who is living a good life means he is living a life of comfort, is a rich person, is having an air conditioner, big car, few problems or worries. That is the life we call good life. But if you go to the dictionary.com, it states the meaning of good life as a life abounding in material comforts and luxury. Yes, if you are having a lot of material comforts and luxuries, you are living a good life. But there is another definition of good life which says a life lived according to the moral and religious laws of one's culture. If you are living according to the moral laws of the culture or the religious laws, then you are living good life. So that's another understanding of good life. Friends, if you want to write an essay, make it beautiful, make it attractive, one of the very important component of the essay is quotations. So let us have some quotations about good life. So the first quotation is, the good life is a process, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. The second quotation is by a famous philosopher, Voltaire. He said, God gave us the gift of life. It is up to us to give ourselves the gift of living well. So just because you have a life, it doesn't mean that you are living well. We have to gift it to ourselves. That means we have to learn how to live a good life. Similarly, Socrates has said, an unexamined life is not worth living. That basically means that we must examine our life, find out why we are living, what is the purpose of life, why we are doing what we are doing. So that should be our way of having a good life. That is going to give us clue as to how to live a good life. Then another quotation by Ralph Waldo Emerson, he says that the purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. So this is a very famous quote by Emerson that basically says that we must try to be useful, try to do as much good to the other, because when we do good to others, they do good to us, and that is how a good life is created. Now let's come to the second part, that is love. Of course, there are large number of quotations on love. We can use any of them, but I can suggest you some of the quotations which can be used in this particular essay. The first quotation is by Lord Byron, who said, love will find a way through paths which wolves fear to prey. That basically means that if you have love, you can pass through the greatest dangers. Max Muller has beautifully said, a flower cannot blossom without sunshine and a man cannot live without love. So if you have everything in the world, still you cannot enjoy your life unless you have love in your life. So love is very, very important. Similarly, Frank Morgan has said, a heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others. So it's not only important that we love other people, but it is also important that how much we are loved, and that basically means that what actions we are taking to become lovable, which other people like, how to become more likable. That means it's not sufficient that I love other people, but also that I should make myself worthy of being loved by other people. There are also many quotations on knowledge, and we can use some of those quotations during our essay. For example, William Shakespeare has said, ignorance is the curse of God, knowledge is the wing wherewith we fly to heaven. This we can use to explain the importance of knowledge. Similarly, George Vernon Shaw had very beautifully said, beware of the false knowledge, it is more dangerous than ignorance. Because if you are ignorant, you can learn, but if you are having false knowledge, you believe that you are having true knowledge, and that's far more dangerous. Similarly, a very beautiful quote by Albert Einstein is, the only source of knowledge is experience. That basically means that when you experience life, you acquire original knowledge, and therefore we must keep on experimenting so that we can learn more and more from the life, because that is going to be our original knowledge. Now let us start writing the essay. So first part of the essay, as we know, is introduction. During introduction, you can define the different meanings of good life, as we have already discussed, and you can use some quotes also over there. Then you can explain the evil effects of good life, which is based on comfort and sensual gratification. For example, if you are eating good food all the time, you can become obese and you may lose health. In the same way, if you are going for sensual gratification, it may lead to immoral life, and that can become tremendously harmful in your future. So we must understand that, sweating, working out, and working hard is good for us. That also is part of good life, even though they may be painful in the beginning, but ultimately that leads to good results, good health in the future. So we must now explain as to what is the true meaning of good life. It is not instant gratification. It is not the benefit that you are going to get right now, but ultimately over a period of life, what is going to be better for you. That is the meaning of good life. Now let us go to the body of the essay. In the body of the essay, you can write what is the true meaning of good life. You can then compare one part of the good life, for example, comfort, wealth, power, fame, and then we can discuss and say that this is not good life because this is external, this is transient, and this is comparative. Whatever money you have, there will always be somebody who is having more money than you, and so that's not going to give you good life. And this will provide you short-term enjoyment, short-term benefit, but they may give you long-term harm. So you can explain this concept, which is particularly perceived as good life by most of the people. Then you can talk about that good life basically must provide a long-term benefits to body, mind, emotions, and your soul. And for that, you have to do best to serve the society. You must make yourself useful to the society. You must follow the principles, and these are some of the things you can use explaining what is the true meaning of good life. Next thing we should talk about is how love can inspire good life. How we are going to be motivated, from where we are going to get the energy. So if love is there in our heart, then we will find the necessary motivation to do the good things in our life. Because please remember that good things will not produce you instant gratification. Only when you are loving somebody, then only you will be willing to suffer for that somebody. And then only you will be able to do good things really for the society. In the same way, if you love the people, if you love the world, then love will guide you to do the right thing, which is in the best interest of the person. Just that if you have love for your beloved, then naturally you want to do everything good for the person. In the same way, if you have love in your heart, whatever action you will do, it will be in the interest of the society, it will be the interest of the people. So you can explain that love will provide you the motivation, purpose of life, joy of service and sacrifice, and making yourself useful, selflessness, empathy, sympathy, ethics and morality. All these things basically flow from love, and therefore love is the greatest inspiration for leading the good life. Then we can also talk about the importance of knowledge in guiding us for leading a good life. Here we can talk about having the accurate knowledge, because if we have false knowledge, we will do something and we will not be knowing as to what is going to be the consequence. For example, if you don't know that a particular type of food is harmful to you, you may keep consuming it until you spoil your body, and then subsequently the doctor says, no, you cannot eat anything. In the same way, the immoral conduct may lead you to a situation when you can be boycotted from the society and you may suffer immensely. So, important is that you must have the accurate knowledge. So here we can talk about the perils of false knowledge. Ignorance is not a bliss, because if you are ignorant, that's not going to help you leading a better life. We can talk about conflicts. We can talk about harming self if we are following the immoral path. When we are trying to actually be selfish, then we are harming ourselves and not harming other people. Then laws of nature are universal, that we can talk about, because if you do wrong things, you are going to suffer irrespective of whether you have the knowledge or not. So if you jump from a high-story building and you don't know the law of gravity, it's not going to make a difference, because you are going to suffer as much as a person who knows the law of gravity. So ignorance is basically not a bliss, and so if you have the right knowledge, you will not be doing any act which is going to harm you. We can talk about the use of knowledge for creating our future, predicting our future, because if you are knowledgeable, we know what is going to be the consequence of our action, and therefore we can shape our future. Then we can avoid pain in our future, because we know what is going to be the long-term implication of our actions. Let us now go to the final part of the essay, that is conclusion. Please remember that conclusion must be optimistic, it should give you some direction, and it should help you lead a good life. And here we can conclude how truly good life can be achieved only by following the path of righteousness, spreading happiness, and helping others. Because when you do good to others, then others will do good to you, and that is how you are going to lead a good life. If you harm others, they will also harm you. So even though you have acquired a lot of wealth, power and all that, you will not be able to lead a good life. We can also talk about how living good life, which is inspired by love, makes doing good things very, very natural. And if it is guided by the right knowledge, then we will be reaching to the desirable conclusions, desirable goals. And then we will be able to lead a beautiful, useful, purposeful, and satisfying life. So friends, these are the things we can talk about. Of course, there are many ways of writing an essay, and you can always use different methods to write the essay. These are just the guiding principles on the basis of which you can write a great essay on this topic. Thank you very much.